Hello and welcome to episode 144 of Daryl Show Your Work. All right, continuing on with the overall theme of enumerating details about a compromised Linux host here. In this episode, I'm going to be focusing more on enumerating the network information. All right, so before I dive any further into that, I'm going to preface this video by giving my usual disclaimer. And anytime I'm doing any type of red teaming or offensive security actions, by saying that this is for educational um, um, ethical and research purposes only. Any sort of malicious activity that may directly or indirectly come from someone watch this, I do not take responsibility for, nor do I condone. All right, so some of the information that I'm going to be enumerating in this video is the current IP address, the network adapter, other internal networks, TCP, UDP services running in their respective ports, and any other hosts that are on the network. All right. So to get started, I've already done some pre-recording discovery here. All right. I got our target host, which is at 192.254 6.3, and I've already gotten us a Meterpreter session by exploiting the VSFTPD, remote code execution, backdoor vulnerability. All right. So to get started, I'm going to be showing a few Meterpreter commands that we can run in order to start some enumeration. All right, so I can do an ifconfig, and we know that's going to show me the different interfaces that I may have access to, along with the IP addresses associated with those interfaces. All right, we can see that here. All right, so we have our loopback interface, and then we also let's see what else we got going on. We have the Ethernet 0 interface, and we have an IP VTI 0 interface here. All right, and let's say that I from here, let's say I want to display a list of any current services that are running on this target host. So in order to do that, I can just simply say net stat net, hold on, netstat. All right, and so that's going to give me the list of those services. While it doesn't name them out explicitly, it tells me the port that the services are running on, along with the IP addresses that those connections that they're connected to. So we see here, right here, where we see remote address, and it's connected to port 4433, IP address 192.254.6.2. That's my Meterpreter session. All right, and we can see some of these other connections that I have going on here with port 21, since I've exploited that port, in order to get this Meterpreter session as well. All right, so if I wanted to see the routing table, I would simply write route, and that's going to show the routing table here, and it's only one address associated with it. This is with this. So basically, this is the only network that I can see from here, and there's no other networks that this particular machine belongs to. So this is basically the subnet mask of the network that is connected to. All right, so the next set of commands that I'm going to show here, I actually have to execute the shell and enter it into the actual Linux system, and I'm going to be doing it from the actual Linux command line within the target host. All right, so now that I've got that channel open, I'm going to create a bash session for myself, since I want to clearly see what I'm doing here. So I'm going to say bin bash dash lowercase I. All right, so I have my bash session going. All right, so I could do that same, let's try that same ifconfig, and let's see if I could get the same results here. So ifconfig not found. So there's another alternative command that I could write. I'm gonna say IP, and then space A, and then space S. All right, so that's going to give me the same information. So we could see that it's giving me two different interfaces here, and it looks like it reflects the same information that I was able to get when I did that ifconfig when using Meterpreter. We have our loopback interface, and then we have that IP VTI interface, even though I don't see the Ethernet 0 interface anywhere. Oh, here it is. It's down here. Okay. So let's say from here, if I wanted to display the content of the networks file, all right, and this is again, this is an alternative way to see the network interfaces. I'm gonna say cat Etsy networks. All right, so this just gives me those IP addresses that's associated with these interfaces that we see here. All right, so we have the loopback, the address, of course, here, and then we have the link local IP address here, and then default is set to 0.0.0.0. All right, so another command that we could use here, if I want is to view the local hosts that are on the network, so to see who else is on here, I would just say cat Etsy hosts, and let's see who else is on here. All right, so we have um, we have our target host here. We have actually we can see myself. All right, there's 192. 54.6.2, so we can see that I'm actually here on here, and then and it looks like that's the only two actual addresses that we can see here that are on this host. All right. So another thing is, let's say if I wanted to display the DNS server information, all right, and then again, that's the domain naming service, all right. So that's what basically resolves the IP addresses to actual website names. So we're not typing out the full IP addresses of the websites that we go to. So the DNS keeps records of those sites, so or the names of those sites, so we don't have to type those in every time that we want to visit the site, just the website name. All right, so this is going to give us the information of the DNS server. All right, so let's see. So we can see that the provider is something called linode.com. Apparently they're the service provider here. All right, and then we can see a host of other information here. We can see actually it's generated by Docker engine. So we can actually see that this is probably running on a Docker container, since we see the Docker references here within the other comments. All right, so another command that we could do here, let's say that we wanted to view the MAC address of the local host on the network. All right, so we want to see what those physical addresses of those that are connected here on the network are. We could just do arp-a, and this should give me the um, the um, the ARP table, which houses those MAC addresses. All right, so that doesn't work. So one thing that I can do in order to try to see if I can find something that'll do that, I may have to automate this process. So let's put this in the background. Oh, well, I have to actually, before I could do that, let's just cancel this. So I'm gonna just say exit. Yeah, then that takes me out of the bash, and then I'm gonna say background. Well, I'm gonna just, you know what? I don't need to come here again. So I'm gonna just exit out of here too. There we go. Back to Meterpreter, then background this. All right, and then I'm going to search. Well, you know what? No, actually, no, I don't need to do that. Let's jump back into that session. Sessions 2. Oops. Back in Meterpreter, and I'm going to just type ARP. And that should be able to pull up that ARP table for me. All right, so we can see that the only address that comes up as far as in the ARP table is my address, which is at 192.254.6.2, and we can see my MAC address here and the interface that I'm currently accessing on the target host. All right, so if there were other other nodes or other computers connected to the target host's network, it will populate that here. So it doesn't appear to be any other ones but besides myself. So that's basically, those are some basic commands that we can run here within compromised Linux host. I know this was a short one, but I wanted to basically show how we can, once we compromise a host, how we could then begin to enumerate network information, again, to determine if there's any opportunities for perhaps pivoting to other devices on the system, creating routes to other networks. And unfortunately, in this particular instance, there wasn't. But I just wanted to give context to, even though the commands that we were running were real basic, in the contents of the context, excuse me, of compromising a Linux host, we could be able then to use this information again to try to find other devices to compromise or to pivot to other devices, and so on and so on. So please like, share, and subscribe. Most importantly, show your work. And until next time, take care of yourself and God bless.